Let's move on to another company that has made money for people, but that in recent months has been a little bit under pressure share price wise. We'll talk about that in a moment. This is Invicta. So Invicta is really the country's leading supplier of engineering consumables. That's in its major division, which trades as BMG, used to be called Bearing Man Group. It's also a supplier of capital equipment, that's diggers, agricultural equipment, New Holland brand, and so on. And then it has a division which also does building supplies, Tile Toria and the likes. The market cap of this resultant entity is 8.7 billion rand, price earnings ratio 12.5, dividend yield of 3.05. But Rowan, there's been quite a lot of news under the hood here. This is one of Christo Wiese's companies. Yes. He's got at least a 30% stake or something in it. They've done a fairly significant restructuring where they paid out a special dividend. They did a rights issue, which was to effect a change in the level of the empowerment shareholding from the holding company to the operational companies. So that caused a little bit of drama. Quite a few people took the 20 Rand cash distribution and didn't follow their rights. Yeah. The share price is lower now. You can see, I think let's put up the share price now. This is a star performer on the market in recent years, which as a result of this shift did take a little bit of a dive in 2014 and is now at around 80 Rand a share, having crested the 100 mark. So what are you thinking about this?
Yeah, so I mean, this is particularly exposed to the industrial sector. Now, you saw the NUMSA strike and the platinum strike have quite a big impact in their numbers, and their recent results were actually quite disappointing. And actually, given the exposure there in that Bearing Man Group, they did reasonably well. I think earnings were down a little bit. What was disappointing was actually that capital equipment group where they do that agricultural equipment.
And there people buy stuff if the maize price is good.
That's right, yeah. And last year, record crop, you would expect sort of a lot of farming, but pressure on maize prices and hence pressure on new equipment sales. You saw earnings drop significantly there. I think also there was some excitement around that Kia Ann, that Singapore
but that's been listed. A little bit of a slow performer
since.
I
think we've seen sort of muted demand out of Southeast Asia, a similar type of business, engineering consumables, and that sort of really hasn't taken off as expected. So earnings have moved backwards quite significantly. One bright spot was that building supplies group, and you're seeing that, I guess, across the board.
I was surprised by that big jump in profits, but I guess it's just because that whole sector is doing well again. Yeah. People are renovating, doing what they do.
Exactly, and it's a smaller part of their business. Yeah. So overall, a lot of pressure on earnings, and I guess, we got to see what the expectation is. The market had been used to very good earnings growth, and so you're seeing the share price pause at these levels.
Management changes. Christo Wiese is the chairman of the board, I believe. Then Arnold Goldstone has moved up to an executive deputy chairman position. Yes. Charles Walters has been elevated from BMG to be group CEO. Byron Nichols, who is a corporate financier that was at ARB, has moved in as head of BMG. Wayne Taylor is there in the BMG group. So, I mean, this is a pretty experienced team. People love investing in companies that Christo Wiese is associated with.
Yeah, and I think they're probably putting the right people in the right place, the right positions. Arnold's going to be doing more of the sort of strategic execution of the business, looking at that expansion, I guess, growth opportunities into Africa. Charles Walters is probably a better operator, been in the businesses for a long time together with Byron. So I think they're sort of bedding down that, given the tough environment, you need to focus on operational excellence costs, which I think they're well positioned.
Because again, the core of the business is how many bearings they can sell to like power station operators, mines, and other industrial players who need that stuff, and belts and chains and gears and all that kind of stuff. And that, I guess, is the uncertainty. There's always that. But these guys execute well. Okay, so this is share price bounced around a bit. What are we saying, hot or not?
Look, given the outlook for the domestic economy, I'm concerned about the sort of the outlook for that demand. I'm going to go not hot.
Okay, I'm going to go with not hot too. Consistent performer, but at some level I agree. A little bit of a murky outlook.